Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and welcome back to Out of the Park Baseball 25, episode 13. One would think that the off-season would be something to quickly get through and get back into the regular season because that's where the excitement is. But a lot of the dirty work, a lot of the dirty work for a GM is going to be during the off-season. It's where you make your acquisitions. It's where you set up the roster that your manager is going to carry on and deal with for you. Speaking of, we do have some staff hirings to get into this episode. But so far this off season, for one thing, it's already been a couple episodes, and we're entering a third episode before we ever get to the regular season. And so I get it. You want to keep it moving along, and so do I. But we have made substantial progress this off season. So far, we've made 6 Phase B trades that have given us bigger, better, stronger prospects in our farm system. So far this offseason, we have lost 2 players through the Rule 5 draft, but we acquired 4 equivalent players in their place. Likewise, we have, to this point, acquired somewhere between about 15 to 20 similar level players. Fringe to almost starter quality players have entered our organization through free agency. And now we have also added 2 more players that actually are major league level acquisitions and fairly cheap, fairly affordable contracts. First one is a 1-year deal, $2.2 million for Ryan Jeffers. Jeffers having played for Minnesota for the last 5 years of his career. Batting average has been all over the place. Number of at bats has been about 200 a season for the last 400 years. 400 years. Woo, that's a long time. Last 4 years of his career. And like I said, those numbers fluctuate back and forth between he's got it and he doesn't have it. This last year, he definitely didn't have it as much. And you can see part of the reason why the contact numbers aren't great, but he's got some okay power numbers, which is something we lack a fair bit. And he's not bad behind the plate. Definite upgrade, not to Langoliers, not to our top guy, but certainly to our backup. Seen as a starter, but not really. Seen as a starter, I think more of a long reliever type, middle reliever type. Angel de los Santos with San Diego last year, Cleveland before that. Definitely major league quality guy. Here comes our major deal of this off season. We're going to move on from Rowdy Tellez. Now remember, we got Tellez for virtually nothing because he was going to be due a huge pay raise. Now, a lot of the ball clubs don't have a lot of money left to play with. So it limits trade options for a Rowdy Tellez. Now, I was thinking about hanging on to him for 1 year and moving on next year, but we have an answer at first base. Mark Vientos, 2.5 stars, so he's a half star worse than Tellez, but he's only 25, and he's got better potential and becomes a much more affordable option for us. What we have to do to make the deal go through is, well, get rid of Pozo, so that's one of the other players we wanted to get rid of, but then we got to get rid of a few 2.5 star options. So, okay, fringe kind of prospects. Don't necessarily want to get rid of those. But the big thing that makes this deal go through is the offset of picking up Starling Marte. Obvious known quantity out there. Still can play, but has an expiring contract in a year. Has no value. He's a negative contract. He's a negative value. But that negative value gives us our answer long term at first base. At least for the next few years anyway. With a piece that we essentially got for free. And I think that's a pretty big pickup. We have to suck it up and pay Marte for a year. Maybe I can. No, it's not going to happen. This is the deal that sets our money up long term, because especially with just letting Marte go as a free agent at the end of the year, long term this makes a huge difference on our contract situation. We're gonna do it. Fan interest drops by 1. Tellez wasn't really a big known player, so that does help us out a bit. We're going to have a lot more talent this year. I think I want to spend some more money on preseason has begun. I really did underestimate just how bad our fringe players are, the ones that went into arbitration, what they earned versus what their value is to other teams around the league, which is not good. So they got a surprising amount out of arbitration, and that's hurt me quite a bit. Really has hurt me quite a bit. I mean, overall, finances really aren't that bad, and we're fine. We're not in any sort of financial trouble. But I've got guys that I'm like, you're making too much. Nobody else really wants to sign them, so it's hard to flip those for pieces because they're not good enough for other teams. They're not really good enough for us, or barely good enough for us, and we want to improve. So I'm having a hard time moving on from those, and I may have to just kind of let some of those pieces go, understanding that there's limitations on what we have in terms of our value, and we might have to just hang on to some of those guys and, they said, let them go at the end of the year and not bother with the arbitration part and let them become free agents, where they might get picked up by somebody, but it would be more along the lines of a league minimum type contract for them to continue on with their careers. But meanwhile, for us, just those pieces in the place they're in are a little problematic for us. So with the international free agent system, most of them are not major league ready. Very few of them come in major league ready. The majority come in as young prospects who are willing to come over and come through your system as top prospects. They make minor league level money for their contracts throughout the year, but what you're actually doing with them is you're giving them a huge signing bonus to get them to come over. So the key is to pay them up front. First guy we're looking at who wants to come over, who we've built a strong relationship with, is Hattori, a catcher, but not a great catcher, but he'll get to be a good catcher over time, which makes a huge prospect for us. I mean, that's one of the most important positions, and at 16 in time, he could be the piece we are looking for. So you can see of those with the very high league interest, he's the one we have that best relationship with and is amongst the cheapest that are there. So 2.6 is what his demand is, which would use up roughly half of what we have for signings. Our next guy is actually not asking for much, so to exceed that value will make it pretty dang easy to potentially sign him and still fall within our window. With what we have left, the other key one that we're going to try to get after is a 4-star prospect who doesn't have very high league interest, so that could be a factor, but we do have a decent relationship with him, so we'll try to see if we can bring him in. First 4 international offers that we've had go out. We've got offers in place for each of them. We'll see how that goes. There's an offer out there that's really tempting me at the moment. One of the pieces they want is Lawrence Butler, who was in AAA last year, played for Oakland the year before. But according to my scouts, he's a 2-star current, 3-star potential, and yet the only potential he has left is a little bit of right field improvement. So he doesn't actually have much more. He'll generate some more power, a little bit more eye, and that's supposed to get him to 3 stars. Now, it's decent. He is a decent prospect. Not a bad one at all. He's one of those that's been bumped up to the major leagues to not get Rule 5 drafted. We don't really have a spot available for him. The second piece that the Mariners want from us for a possible deal here is Harold Ramirez. And Ramirez is one of the guys that I do want to move on from. He's making $4.8 million. Decent player, but he's making $4.8 million, and it's gonna get even worse. He's somebody we claimed on waivers which means he was a free grab for us, but now a kind of costly player to hang on to at 30. 60 contact, so he's got a decent batting average, but then he's lacking everywhere else. He's not a good outfielder at all, so he's more of a or first baseman. He's not a good defensive player, period, whether it's at first base or in the outfield. He's kind of coming in as our DH right now, and we could hang on to him. I mean, in theory, but not a big time player here. What the Mariners want to give us is J.P. Crawford. Our weakest position is shortstop. And I tried. And I tried. And I tried to find a deal for a good, young, current major league, but big potential young shortstop. And it just hasn't been happening. Crawford, apparently Seattle's picked up a shortstop because right now they've got him over at third, which isn't even his position. He's a good defender, not amazing, but he's good. Does not have speed. That's surprising. But you can see the quality that's here. He is making a little bit more, but they are trying to throw in some money to sweeten the deal. I'm kind of looking at this going, this feels like a decent acquisition for us for those two pieces. It's a bit of a wash. It's not good. It's not bad. But Butler seems to be an overrated prospect who's not as good as one thinks he is. And Ramirez is only capable as a DH, where Crawford's going to give us something very similar and be able to play a position for us, which I think gives us more options. It does increase our money a little bit overall because of what Crawford's making, but as they're sweetening the deal, and we've got Ramirez with his $5 million, right? I'm gonna do it. I don't know if I'm making the right call here because, like I said, it's pretty close. It's really time that we make some progress when it comes to what a roster is going to look like. Right now, we have 4 players too many on the active roster, so we're still at 32. We still have moves to make. Toro is not going to be he's going to be down at AAA, learning the game some more or something. Making $2.4 million, not making me a fan of that. He's definitely going to be the guy that's going down. That's the first one. I like Rosario. Basso, 91 innings, 7 ERA last year, is the other one to move on from. He's making league minimum at least, so that helps. But then after that, there's still going to be a couple more pieces that are going to have to make way. And of course, we're going to be watching the waiver wire, as we're that weak team and we have room for improvement, big time. But we started to free up a couple spots on the secondary, and right now I don't have anyone else in the organization that I'm looking at going, oh, we need to get this guy a chance. Therefore, it's time to start shaping what the AAA club's going to look like. I know Toro's going to be coming down. That's a third baseman, which means there's a couple too many third basemen here, so probably want to make a move. But shaping the roster, it's that time. Some players could be down, some players could be forcibly traded, and go from there. Having done the first wave of reorganizing our farm system in terms of personnel at what level, we're up to 26 now at AAA. We've got those couple of guys at least that are going to be coming down, and maybe a trade or two along the way. We're at 31 for AA now, 35 for our regular A club. We've brought the rookie league down to 46. There is an overabundance of first basemen. Trade packages need to include a lot of first basemen. We've also got a lot of pitchers, a lot of them. So there's definitely some extra pitchers and first basemen to part ways with from that rookie league. Meanwhile, I've got 30 now at the international complex. A lot of that had to do with, well, for one thing, moving guys up that were ready to move up. But the second thing was bringing in a lot of our better prospects from the international complex to free up spots so that if we do get to sign some of these international free agents, we've got to have a place for them. I had actually reached our limit. We've brought it down to 29 players, though. The limit is 50, and we might have missed a couple months worth of signings here as I wasn't getting new prospects in because we've been full. But we got rid of the 1-star and below guys, and we moved up the better prospects. At the moment, there's 4 international free agents that I've been trying to sign. Right now, we have one that favors our offer. We have 2 that are pending, and our expensive guy, Hattori, wants more money. And right now, we can't match unless I withdraw one of the other offers. I very much want him. I very much want him. Hattori is absolutely a guy that can be signed. And that's kind of a key thing here. I think our other guys, like Arazo, low league interest, but probably not too many guys going after him. The other one, Alvarado. Alvarado has very low interest in coming to the league, even though we have a good relationship. No, it's not. Yes, it is Juan Alvarado. What we're going to do with Juan Alvarado is we're going to go ahead and withdraw the offer on him. I can figure out how. There we go. We found it. That frees up roughly $500,000 because we don't expect that he's going to sign anyway. So that gets us back in the game for Hattori. The Rockies. We don't want to give up to the Rockies. Well, here's good news. We have gotten the first one. Jesus Razo, center fielder, 4-star prospect, big-time power potential. Just $440,000 for the signing bonus for him. Gap power of 80. Overall power of 70, and looks like a huge prospect. Long time down the road if he can reach his potential. First or left field are his primary positions where you would expect him at later on. That's used up our first chunk of money, but we still have over $4 million left. Fortunately, we have just 2 left in the running, and both of them want more money. And to do so, they're now going to overlap into each other. I mean, we were already at right about 4, so we only had a little bit of flexibility on that. So checking back in, looks like Pujol might be an easier signing than Hattori, but Hattori could be a bigger impact player for you. Second, third, or short. What was Hattori's? He can get good as a catcher. We have a strong relationship with both, but Hattori is definitely coming to the league. It's going to take a lot more money to get him signed. Money that we have. Pujol's an easier signing, but the league interest is only average. It's not a guarantee, but it sounds like he's definitely headed this way. There's only been 2 signings so far. So we actually had the first signing in the entire league with Razo. But Salazar is a max money guy. So Washington's already used up their budget. Having this strong relationship, I just feel like a catcher is a bigger game changer than a shortstop would be. So I'm going to go with Hattori. For now, both are out. Both are out for the time being, which means we've got to look elsewhere. Edgar Ramos would be a good one. Hall of Fame voting is in. Todd Helton. How is Ichiro not on my list? I never saw Ichiro. Oh, that would have been my first pick. That's my all-time favorite player. Anyway, Helton makes it to the Hall of Fame. Somehow Ichiro does not make it as a first ballot Hall of Famer, which is absurd. He should have a 100% vote rate. I mean, come on, he's like the world's first 4,000 hit guy. Am I right on that? Close? Something like that. Sabathia came in pretty high. Wagner is dropped. I didn't even see his name on the list either. Surprised Beltre got so many votes, but A-Rod's at 41%. Ramirez was at 38%. Hernandez was at 33%. And there's a whole lot of dropped players. Of course, there's always going to be dropped players. But it seems like all of them had at least a vote. Of those that are dropped, any surprises? Torrey Hunter, 5th year on the ballot, but only got 0.7. Mark Burley, 5th year, 2%. Tulowitzki might be a little bit of a surprise, or a Russell Martin, but I know he wasn't consistent throughout his career. Adrian Gonzalez or Jose Bautista are definitely the bigger names that didn't make the list. Little surprised more so that, like a Jose Reyes did when some of these guys didn't get enough votes. But I can see why, there's votes for a Hanley Ramirez or for a Dustin Pedroia, Vizquel. Like, how are so many of these guys? A lot of those guys weren't even on my ballot. Not sure how. There's a lot of names I didn't recognize there. Anyway, just one inductee this year. So Hattori went to Colorado for max money. We got Ramirez. I never got a message about it, but we did get Ramirez. So 70 contact, 60 potential, probably left fielder or first baseman in the future. So we did come out pretty well. Wehold went to Texas for $1.4 million. We were pretty close to getting him signed, and definitely would have saved us a little bit of money, but that is okay. That's your signings just about in the books. Available money is getting pretty low. And as for us, what do we even have left? Still 1.3 million. There is still 1.3 million. Let's take a look at what's left. And could 1.3 million get us anything? Got one more pending offer. The last one we're going for in international free agency. It's a 3-star reliever potential wise, so not a major prospect, but within our remaining budget. And as for that, we enter our first player development update of the year. Good improvement for Matthew Wood, who also has decent potential, all current ability. One of our better prospects in Willits. He's developed decently, now a 2-star first baseman. And our first signing, Jesus Razo, has been reevaluated since coming in. Current contact drops, but power increased. Potential power increased. Potential increase. Current speed is dropped. Current defensive rating for center field is a 25. Gap rating a 25, but his potential rating 4 stars as a center fielder. And right now we're showing maybe just 2.5, but I think that'll update here soon. We did get that reliever signed, and so that completes our deals for international free agency. I feel like we did get a pretty good grab on most of those, and kind of regardless of where exactly they fall, they are players with some good major league potential that we have signed, and we didn't just get a single player. We were able to get multiple players. Entering spring training, this is what our pitching staff looks like now. So new signing, De Los Santos, who we got for $1.7 million, comes in as our closer. So we've signed a closer on the cheap, and in fact, he's actually our highest paid pitcher. The 3 non-contract ones who would get one by opening day, Cade Povich, who we got through Rule 5, and Colby White through the same manner, and Jack Cushing, who we brought up from AAA. We have 15 guys right now. I'm a little surprised that Brady Basso was the one that the manager has selected to move to the starting lineup. I wouldn't necessarily make him that guy. I'd make it somebody else. Sam Bachman is somebody we brought in last season and would be a much better selection in my eyes. We got him through waiver wire, but only one guy needs to get dropped. So pitching staff is looking pretty solid and so much better than where we were, a year ago at this time. Mason Miller, still one more year before we're going to get into a big salary bump for him. And as for the lineup, we're at 17 here, so we definitely have to, drop at least a few guys. But we've got Langoliers and Jeffers. Now looking at the ratings instead of empty stats. So Jeffers, definite improvement for us as the backup. Nevin, the other guy that we've brought in here, but Vientos, the new starter with high potential. He's going to be a work in progress, but he's already a work in progress. He's already been a pro for a couple of years now. Good backup last year and hit 287. With JP Crawford coming in, the manager has moved Rosario over to second base. Interesting choice there. And moved Geloff to third. And then you have Rengifo and Toro, both the guys we need to get rid of. Rengifo would be okay. There's the finances involved. But he's got okay defense. I wouldn't mind keeping him as a backup. Toro needs to go. At best, he'll be AAA here real soon. And then we continue to have Nick Allen backing up at shortstop. For the outfield, Armenteros is the odd man out first, as he'll get bumped down to AAA. He's just 25. He can get bumped down. But Meadows is somebody I'd like to move on from, or Florial, or both for that matter. But this is a million times stronger lineup than what we started last season with. So much better. Projected lineup for right now, you got Ruiz leading off from Crawford, Geloff, and Clark, and then Florial, Vientos, Marte, Langeliers, and Rosario. That's a massive improvement. Really, really is from where we were a year ago, and it still doesn't mean that we're going to be winning a ton of games this season, but I think it does mean we're headed to more than 59, and there's still a lot of possibility to continue moving pieces. We just have those few pieces that their salary is a little on the high side, but outside of Marte, overall, salaries are pretty dang low. 10 for Crawford, but we're pretty okay with that. Meadows is that one where you're like, yeah, we don't want to be paying this guy 4.6. That's a bit much. Marte is going to be gone at the end of the year. That was just filler to get that deal through to get us Vientos, who's still on auto, still favorable contract for a long time. And Jeffers is fine. He'll be in arbitration, but if he's the backup to Langeliers, he shouldn't be making a big improvement to that. And we signed him for free anyway, so we could let him go if need be. Latest updates regarding wins above replacement changes. We've lost Tellez and Blackburn. That's the bulk of the differences we have in terms of wins above replacement to 6.6. That's 5 of it right there. 97 players in all out. Massive movements compared to, literally anybody else. Even with minor league differences, you're looking at 14 and 16 for the Padres, 12 and 25 for the Giants, 16-24 for the Mariners. We do have 21 in as well, only adding up to 5.5 in wins above replacement, but there's a lot more prospects coming in smaller quantity. I mean, that's a difference of minus 76, and we still have an abundance. But Crawford and Vientos, the two key that we have added, one stabilized a position that was weak, one got us younger at a position where we weren't weak, but we went from $17 million to a minimum contract, or you could say in a roundabout way to a $10 million contract, and that means we actually went from 22 to that, and we already offloaded a couple other, minor level contracts. Marte is actually a plus for us, even though we're going to be letting him go at the end of the year. That's going to be 0.9 that we're letting go of. We're not keeping him. Very much 1 year, no interest in re-signing. We're not going to be able to trade for him. He's got negative value, but the contract expires and he'll go away. That was all part of the process. But Jeffers was a decent add, and then Bachman through waivers is the other biggest add. Overall, not much in terms of addition, but that's because we are going younger to less experience towards more potential. Even then, we're still 12th in the league at just minus 1.1. Twins, Mets, the ones that have gained the most. But I'm pretty happy with where we're at. The way that we play this and have built this and are restructuring what we have, for the most part, has worked out really well. And the only one that I'm thinking may have been questionable is the Crawford deal. And while in the short term, we have not improved our farm ranking, it's right where it's been all this time. What we have managed to do is, behind Denzel Clark, almost all, the vast majority, at least 80% of the players in this range are new to the club. So we really have altered what's there. But if you're looking, a lot of our top guys are rookie league, A-league. They're not close to ready. This is a year's project, and we're bringing in guys to help very much down the road. By the way, the final output for last year's minor league system, you can see the AAA was loaded with more talent than it really needed, but AA struggled. Our high A didn't do great. Our regular A was pretty bad. They were really lacking talent, but that's a lot of the ones that we've now traded away, right? Our regular single A group went from like 40 players to about 12 through all the trades that we've made. So they've been the bulk of the guys that we really let go, and you can see just how bad they were. But our rookie ones did okay, and those were prospects that we've brought in. Some of these higher level guys, the double A and up, or high A and double A, most of those were ones that we brought in through free agency and a little bit, better off. Where, again, we've got a long ways to go. The budget's not there, the squad's not there, like none of it's there. But I know for a fact we're in a better place than we were a year ago, and not by a small margin, by a significant margin. But to really flip this switch, there's still so much to do. Okay, so our development programs that we selected for guys have concluded as spring training begins. First off, Denzel Clark, no improvement. We picked a lot of harder projects. For Florial, no improvement. Hurtado, no improvement. Jose Rodriguez, no improvement. But for Garrett Scholl, his bat speed program has been successful. Generate more bat speed and home run power. The other one that has been successful is Bustillos. Bustillos is a good young prospect. I think he's better than they're showing here. But we're looking at good contact and power numbers and eye numbers for him. It's just the defense that is an issue. With spring training getting underway, it's time to look at preseason predictions, and this shows just how much better we are expected to be. Our prediction is 70 wins this season, which is still not good. 70 and 92 is not a good win-loss, but it's plus 11. We're looking at plus 11 wins right now, even with offloading, our best couple of players. Well, I'm not going to bore you with any preseason games. That's not what we're here for. Spring training is not where it's at. We are going to be getting to the regular season, and we're very much on our way. There's not much more moves coming. Really, the only two moves that I want to see is Rengifo and Meadows out, but they're negative value. So I can't get anything decent for them, and I think we're just going to have to let them go at the end of the year, choose not to offer them something. So Rengifo and Meadows will be outgoing players for us, but otherwise the only other piece that I should probably move on from is Florial. May not need to do that now. We might hang on to him. He might have enough value for us, and if not, we picked him up on the waiver wire. It wouldn't be that big of a deal if we lose him in the same manner that we picked him up. But clearly headed in the right direction. Not just improving the depth of the farm system, the potential of the farm system, but also the senior squad clearly looks better. Will it be 11 wins better? Well, we'll see. I know for a fact that this squad is not going to stay intact throughout the entire season. It's far too early in this playthrough to give them a run and see how they do, to see if they get to 72 wins. Really? No. No. Maybe an 81 and an 81 prediction. Maybe you let them play for a while and see how things go. We're not to that stage yet. We've got a ways to go still on the build. Long ways to go still on the build. But it's definitely headed in the right direction. And when you let go of that Marte money at the end of the year, we free up a lot of funds into the following year. And we're not doing so bad on the finances for this year at the moment. So I'm excited by the turnaround so far, but know and recognize that we've still got a long ways to go yet. Unlucky that we got a draw of 6th for the draft, as we should have been much higher. But that's okay. We'll get by on that one. It's not the only way to improve, and we've found other ways to improve and are improving in other ways. That's going to do it for this episode and for the preseason. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.